Netflix has predicted this, and now it finally comes to pass. Squid Game has become the most popular TV series in Netflix history, and it honestly didn't have much competition for the title. Squid Game beat every other show out for the spot and dominated present-day mainstream media. Here's what we know so far about the second season and why the show is so popular around the world. The rise to the top. The South Korean show has had 111 million viewers since its release. Before that, the former title holder was Shonda Rhimes' Bridgerton, which brought in views from 82 million accounts within just a month of its launch. Squid Game is Netflix's first to get an impressive and record-breaking 100 million viewers within just the premiere window. It should be noted that Netflix counts a view as someone who sticks around for just 2 minutes of the show, so we don't know how many of those 111 million accounts actually watch the entire series, but it's still a huge hit, and there's zero doubt about that. The South Korean thriller is presently #1 on Netflix's top 10 list in 94 countries. It also holds the #1 spot in every country when Netflix even has a top 10 list. In the US, it kept that spot for 21 days in a row. Hwang Dong-hyuk wrote, directed, and created the show, which focuses on 456 people who are dealing with such intense money problems that they agree to take part in a string of fatal children's games. The series stars Lee Byung-hun and Lee Jung-jae, who created a fan following outside South Korea, as well as Korean stars like Park Hae-soo and Oh Yeon-soo. Since the show's premiere, Jung Hong-yoon had an extremely fast rise to fame and is now the most followed Korean actress on Instagram with over 13 million followers. The cultural impact. Warning, spoilers ahead. No way could you have missed the enormous hype it's garnered around the world since it first dropped in September of 2021. The iconic pink guard uniforms and green competitor tracksuits became so well known around Halloween that schools around New York had literally banned them. If you attended any Halloween parties this time around, you definitely saw someone in their Squid Game's costumes, probably as a player in the game or as one of the guards reinforcing the rules and carrying out executions. The cultural impact of the show was so big, it even left the sphere of pop culture and made its way to the world of techno-finance, which is ironic for a show that's such a harsh attack on capitalist ideology. There's how a Squid Game cryptocurrency called Squid to partake in a digital version of the games. We do not provide deadly consequences, apparently, claim the creators behind the game, but only time will tell. The games continue? In news that comes as no surprise to literally anyone, the show has now been officially picked up by Netflix for another season. Creator Hwang Dong-hyuk has mulled over this idea for some time now, but on the 9th of November of 2021, he finally announced that the new episodes are on their way during a talk with Associated Press. Here's an English translation on his statement. So there has been so much pressure, so much demand, and so much love for a second season. So I almost feel like you leave us no choice, but I will say there will indeed be a second season. It's in my head right now. I'm in the planning process currently, but I do think it's too early to say when and how that's gonna happen. So I'll promise you this, in English, Ji-hoon will come back and he will do something for the world. Production on season 1 of the show took 2 years to wrap up, but now that many of the things needed are all set, fans are hopeful season 2 could be on our screens as early as 2022. Director Hwang Dong-hyuk talked to YTN, a Korean news channel, about how he came up with the show's premise back in 2008, so he's had a lot of time to plan out a longer game plan beyond just one season. Hwang told Variety, however, "I don't have well-developed plans for Squid Game 2. It is quite tiring just thinking about it," but he said he wouldn't be against the idea if he had a team of writers and directors helping, and he's not a quick writer when working alone. It took him just 6 months to flesh out the first 2 episodes, and he had plenty of help from friends too. Squid Game isn't the only project on his plate though. He's also working on a movie, working title KO Club, Killing Old Men Club, and it's about intergenerational war, so there's probably going to be some time before another season, even though it's definitely on its way, so don't worry. Who's coming back for season 2? Out of season 1's 456 competitors, most are now dead, aside from Lee Jung-jae, who will probably come back to resume his role as Seong Gi-hoon. As for the characters who died, like Park Hae-soo or Oh Young-soo and Jung Ho-yeon, they could be seen in flashbacks now, but one thing is for sure, season 2's cast will probably be new people. Looking at Jung's international rise to fame, they're definitely trying to convince her to come back, but when she talked to Variety at the LACMA Art Plus Film Gala, she revealed what we were all thinking and said she'd like to work in Hollywood now, which would probably mean she isn't currently thinking of coming back to Squid Game. Another star fans would love to see again is Gong Yoo, the Korean actor who's most recognizable to most of us as also being in the movie Train to Busan. Even though his role was sort of a cameo, it was a favorite among fans. It also establishes the chances of a return for his character. He's gotta be out there, getting new players for the game. There must be a place for him in the new season. We'd love to see him in more scenes too. What happens in the new season? At the end of Squid Game's first season, Gi-hoon has managed to defy all the odds and come out on top, but things are far from over. After the passing of the game's creator, Gi-hoon discovers that the competition is still happening with fresh players. Seeing all this, it would be easy keeping the story going with Gi-hoon in the middle of it all again, going through with his promise to do everything in his power to end the bloody games. However, there's also an unsaid feeling of it ending around that scene too, and it's hard to think of a storyline in which Gi-hoon defeats the men behind the game, even though he's ridiculously rich now. We'll just have to wait and see what the writers come up with. One complication is the impossibility of his ever sneaking into anywhere undetected with that mop of flame red hair. Gi-hoon dyed his naturally black hair bright bright red in the final episode for unspecified reasons. While you might think it's not that important, Hwang Dong-kyung disagrees. It represents that he will never be able to go back to his old self. It is also a sign of his rage, he told Radio Times. But in the chat with the Associated Press, creator Hwang Dong-hyuk has now confirmed our suspicions and confirmed that Gi-hoon will come back and he will do something for the world. Alternate ending? Speaking to Entertainment Weekly, he also revealed that there was another version of the first season cliffhanger ending that didn't make the cut. This ending would have put a definitive end to Gi-hoon's story then and there. He could have boarded that plane and gone to meet his family, ending the nightmare once and for all. But that's not what happened. Why do people love the show so much? We all know how audiences love dystopian movies like Maze Runner and The Hunger Games. The idea behind it is some powerful people pit less powerful ones against each other in fights to the death. This theme seems to be found everywhere, even literature in classrooms. For example, there's Lord of the Flies, in which a group of teen boys make their own society on an isolated island. It's a direct commentary on how harsh economic inequality and financial instability can be for people who don't have a very generous income, which is a global problem only made worse by the coronavirus pandemic, especially within the last year. Considering the state of the world, Squid Game has characters with really relatable real-life problems and stories. People can identify with feeling like they're not the ruling class, but the underdog or the downtrodden, is what Dr. Eric Bender, a psychiatrist, had to say to Bustle when he asked about the mass appeal of the show. Desperation is what made Squid Game's players compete. Despite having the option to leave, they all come back, coming to the realization that getting by in this world with no way in sight to end their poverty is not preferable to risking death for a cash prize that's gonna fix their financial woes. From this point of view, the violence is almost made a secondary irrelevant factor. All this, not to mention the engrossing storyline that keeps everyone on their toes. Excellent production and acting is what made Squid Game the most popular show around. Alright, that's it for today. Leave a comment down below and let us know your thoughts. Are you gonna be watching season 2? What do you think will happen next in the show? Before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.